This episode is sponsored by Property Filter. Find great deals faster.
Hello and welcome to the Financial Freedom Podcast, sponsored by us at Property Portfolio Building. This podcast is designed by real people on their journey to achieving financial freedom, and we'll focus on people who've either already attained it, who are joining us on that journey, or maybe a specialist topic that can help you build your technical knowledge to achieving and maintaining that financial freedom. We hope you enjoy it.
Right, welcome back to the Financial Freedom Podcast. Today is one of our 6-round episodes and a bit of a case study as well, where we interview someone who is either achieved their financial freedom or on the journey to achieving financial freedom. So today we've got Aaisha. Welcome to the show, Aaisha.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So Aaisha is a property developer that wants people to share in her dream vision and goals of their projects, working towards financial freedom and inspiring others like her to dream big. And creating a better future for your son as well. So welcome to the show. Thanks for coming along.
Thanks for inviting me.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
So where we like to start in our shows is always we just want to understand a bit about our guests and their story. So can you tell us a bit about your story, a bit of your background, family and things like that?
So my background in terms of my career, first of all, I started off actually graduating as a further education teacher. I didn't actually go into further education. Within about 6 months of graduating, I couldn't find a job. So I started off selling computers. That was quite a while ago. And then from there, I went into banking. So I was with Halifax, which then merged with Halifax Bank of Scotland. I moved into Bank of Scotland quite quickly and worked there for a number of years. And then those of us that remember the 2008 crash, well, HBOS was part of that. Lloyds Banking Group took us over. And then I got made redundant as part of all the restructures that had happened and everything that was going on. Now, at the time when I was working in banking, I was working on the lending side for landlords, small-scale property developers, large-scale property developers. So I'd been on that side of the fence. But at the time of redundancy, I'd had my boy, who's 18 now, and I thought, I want to do something self-employed. I want to be able to have a work-life balance. So I took my little redundancy pay. I'd trained as a driving instructor and gone off. I bought a little car and started my little driving instructing business. And it was just me and my car, and it was great. And then before COVID, my late mum passed. So this brings me into family. And then COVID happened, and we were one of the first industries shut down. We just got a phone call, and the DVSA just stopped driving tests. And it was like, wow, no money now. What am I going to do? So my late dad stepped up and he was like, don't worry, you've got a safety net. Dad's here. I'll look after you, kind of thing. And I was like, okay, still not quite sure how things are going to work out. So just as I was going to go back to driving, as things started to open up from COVID, Dad got diagnosed terminal. So I took a year to look after him, and then he passed away. And I guess between Mum and Dad passing, it was about 2 years. Yeah. And then COVID happened. I think somewhere in there, I probably had some sort of midlife crisis, I think, because
some really, really big challenges personally, isn't it? And
it's a lot in a short period of time.
Yeah.
A lot. A sense of you lost your anchor when you're losing them so quickly. So I started off and I thought, right, what can I do? So I started renovating my house a little bit. Not me personally, but got somebody in to do some work. But I lost the bug for driving instructing. And I thought, I need to do something now and I need a career change. And by the way, my cycles of career change go in decades.
Right. Okay.
So I do about a decade and then I have a career change. Yeah. So this was pretty much the decade where it was, okay, I need to change. What am I going to do? So I had some money and I wanted to invest. No education, no understanding what to do with it. And I got in touch with this broker and they went, we got high-rise flats in Manchester. Let's just go off plan. And I thought, okay, could be a way to get some income in while I try and figure out what I want to do in life. Big mistake. Everybody made money off that except me. It was, it was absolutely awful. About the only thing it did teach me was I didn't want to own buy-to-lets or serviced accommodation at the time, which is what they sold it as to me. While I was going through that journey, because I'd ended up with a couple of flats in Manchester, I had no experience, I didn't know what to do. So I took myself off to the Landlord Investment Show, Old Trafford. And it's like, I'm a landlord now, what do I do? So I went to this thing thinking maybe they'll give me some information. I don't know. Came across someone that was promoting small-scale property development. In fact, you interviewed him a little while back.
Right, Richie Clapson.
Mr. Richie Clapson, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. And he was at the landlord show.
And he was at the landlord show. So he did his presentation of small-scale development. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I can do this. And I like the idea that if I'm the one developing, then I know what's involved. And hopefully I won't lose money instead of somebody else doing it.
In a way.
And I'm in control of it in a way, ultimately. So signed up to their fast track 3-day course. I was like, yep, this tracks, okay. And then they said, do you want to do 12 months? I was like, that's an investment in education. But again, I did driving instructing. I did my exams. So I always believed in educating anyway. So I did a low level, if you will, property course. It was about 8 weeks online just to see if it made sense. And at the time he was talking about permitted developments and being able to convert a commercial building into residential. Potentially you could change your life through that. And I was searching, to be honest. So doing the 8 weeks, I was like, yep, this all makes sense. My banking skills seem to be coming into play. Go on then, let's do the 12 months. But I set myself a target in the 12 months. I had to find a property. I had to find a deal. If I didn't find a deal, then I would have to go back to the drawing board and see what else.
And reassess,
And reassess. So that's kind of the background, a little bit about the family. My company is called MHBQ Developments.
Before we jump forward to your company, we've started as you as an adult. Where did you grow up? And
So I grew up in Blackburn, Lancashire.
Right, okay.
My late father and my mum, if we go back, so they were immigrants. So my mum was from Pakistan.
Okay.
And my dad was from Uganda.
All right. Okay. Wow.
So that's a bit of a hell of a mix.
Yeah.
And I was born in the UK.
There you go. Yeah. Because the Ugandan accent and the Pakistani accent are different, aren't they?
Yes, very much so. Very, very, very much so. Yeah. And in Uganda, everybody's business minded.
Oh, really?
Very entrepreneurial in
right.
In
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So my late granddad, he had a tailoring business over there. And how that came about was that he was with the British Indian Army when India and Pakistan hadn't partitioned.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So he went to, and that was why he moved to Uganda, because he went with the British Indian Army as their tailor.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah.
So there you go. Lots of small businesses.
So a lot of small businesses.
What did your mum and dad do?
So when they came here, my dad came here as a refugee. He had absolutely nothing.
Right.
I don't know if you've heard of Idi Amin.
Yes.
He basically threw a lot of people out of the country with literally nothing. So my dad started off as a factory worker, then a taxi driver, and my mum worked part-time in factory as well. We talk a lot about off-market deals, don't we? And off-market businesses. So the story is in Blackburn, there was a local post office and it was being run by a gentleman who was looking at retirement. And one day my dad walked into the post office and went, so you've got this post office here. You're looking like you need some help. How would you feel about selling it to me? And at that time, there was nobody else of ethnic minority who owned a post office.
Right. Right.
Seriously. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That was back in the, I'd say mid-80s.
Right. Yeah. Fair.
About the mid-80s.
Yeah.
And he was looking at retiring, so he couldn't believe his luck. And the story is that he sold the post office to my dad. Well, my mum and my dad. And my mum and dad then run that business for 24 years.
Right.
Before they retired.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
Post office. There you go.
There you go.
From factory to taxi driver
to post office to a sub postmaster.
Sub postmaster. Yeah. So that's a was it franchised?
It was franchised. Yeah, it was franchised.
I don't know how the post offices work. I imagine that. Yeah.
It's a franchise business. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I grew up in that business. So had to. All summer holidays, whatever holidays you were there working in it, whether you were cleaning, whether you're serving customers, whatever it was.
Of course,
It was like mum and dad pulled you into the business and that with that. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Also, you got to see a lot of money. And it was really funny because we had a safe within the property and they were like, remember one thing, that's not your money. Don't you dare go in there and try and take any money kind of thing. So that was drilled into us. And I guess that's where my honesty, integrity, and values like that came in. Because it was very much, this is not yours.
Yeah.
And you do not go take
Did they sell sweets?
The sweets, the National Lottery.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm not sure I wouldn't have been able to steal the odd white mouse, you know. Yeah, fair dues.
So yeah,
Just
that
wastage,
was,
isn't it? Really? At the end of the
yeah.
day for
Yeah, wastage. Yeah, it's always a bit of wastage. Yeah. No, good
It's all,
stuff.
it's all budgeted for.
So it's all, yeah.
And what about you? Are you your brothers, sisters? Are you?
So I have we were a family of 5 originally. I have an older sister. She's married. She has 1 son. And then I had a second older sister, but sadly, she passed away. I think she was about 29.
Oh, right. Wow.
So she passed away from lung cancer.
Oh, wow.
But she was
That's young, isn't it, for lung cancer?
very young. She was a doctor.
Right. Oh, bloody hell.
So she was working in London at the time when she got diagnosed. The story behind that was while she was working at the hospital, they were practicing reading MRI scans. So they put each other in the scanner,
Right.
and that's how hers got diagnosed.
Oh, wow. Bloody hell.
So-
So she spent all that time training and
She went for
investing
everything,
and-
qualified,
oh, God.
exams. Yeah.
and she had all that in front of her.
She had all of that in front of her. At 29, she passed away. But she worked right till the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair play.
Yeah, she worked right till the end, and she was absolutely dedicated. And yeah, everybody absolutely loved her.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Right. So should we jump forwards to
Yeah. So
forward fast after that.
company?
So-
you were about to
So
introduce
the company.
yeah. So tell us about your business, and then we'll move on to the next questions.
So in the mentorship, we got taught to set up a business, branding, networking, and I wanted to honour my parents. And somewhere along the lines, coincidentally, it ended up being my son's name as well. So my company name is MHBQ Developments Limited, and it's the initials of my late mum and dad, Tar Hussain Qureshi and Batul Qureshi. And my son's name is Mohammed Hashim Beg.
Okay.
So I've got a bit of a legacy and a little bit of a memory every day in my life
Yeah.
dedicated to them. The company was set up for property development, and the specialism is commercial conversions to residential using the PD format.
So
The PD prior approval.
The PD
format,
prior
so,
approval. Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, good stuff.
Excellent. So, Financial Freedom Podcast, we are here.
Yes.
So, we always want to get everyone's definition on what financial freedom is to them
Mhm.
personally, what
Okay.
it means,
Yes.
what it is, and where you are on that journey.
Okay. So financial freedom, I've had quite a bit of a think about this. So obviously with the buy-to-lets that I'd done, they turned out to be really bad decisions. And the idea behind my financial freedom was to try and find a way to improve my financial circumstances. Obviously that didn't happen with that. So the property development goal is my financial freedom, to try and create something for myself so that I can use it as a stepping stone to start building wealth with education, which is something I didn't have right at the beginning. And I also want to create financial freedom for my son. So he's on his way to university pretty soon. And things were very different when I went to university, and everything was affordable and it was great. But the circumstance in which he's going now, it's a very different economic climate. And hopefully he achieves his goals. He wants to be a structural engineer. That's his big goal in life. But I know from experience, things don't always go the way you want, and you can end up going off track. So I want to create a legacy for him through my business, that if things don't work out for him, he has another way forward. Equally, if I was to pass away, or even if I wasn't to pass away, if he wanted to take it on and move it forward, he's got another arm, if you will, of of income stream to pursue as well. And his goals, they do align quite closely with mine, because although he talks about structural engineering in his degree, for all of his life, he's seen me be entrepreneurial in spirit, always hustling, doing something or other. So he has that sort of mindset.
And you're dragging him to the events. I've met him 3 or 4 times as well.
He goes to all the events.
Yeah.
And it's holding him in good stead, because he's really enjoying.
Yeah, and I
he
suppose
enjoys the networking, and then he sees some of the strategies, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I could do that for the future." You can see the ka-ching going on.
And it opens up your mind to so many possibilities.
Yes.
And even if he works as a structural engineer, or he has a
Yes.
business as a structural
Yeah.
engineer, it's still always a good idea to do
Absolutely.
other investments as
Yes.
a side hustle, or
Yeah.
on top of what you're doing.
He might not do anything today,
No,
Yeah.
you know.
no.
but just being in that environment and seeing the
Yes.
Yeah, when you're in the environment, it becomes like the norm to do, doesn't it? Whereas like
Absolutely.
when you go to school, the norm is
Yes.
to go to uni and get a job. Whereas if you're in those
Yes.
environments,
Because
the
it's
norm is
yes.
to
Yes.
invest and be entrepreneurial,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just opening up to those options and saying, back in my time, if you had a house, a car, a stable job, you'd made it in life. Now everybody talks about doing whatever different things, side hustles, income streams, and all these sort of things.
Do you feel like that some might be because of the people you're surrounding yourself with at the same time, though? Because there's a lot of people who still have that job, income, house. Lots of people who still live that lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, I myself, I'm luckily enough to have a mortgage-free house, and it's a nice position to be in. But yeah, definitely. And I think as well, I see the way COVID changed things as well, because I think before COVID, although it existed, it perhaps wasn't as much in the media spotlight as well.
I think the other thing to consider is, and I know, cost of living is higher and everything like that these days, but so that's the challenge, isn't it, for young people, but also there's the big opportunity where you've got social media, you've got online, you've got AI and all these sort of things that can actually be quite lucrative.
Yes.
And those opportunities and the business opportunities that present as a result of it are substantially higher than they ever were.
Yes.
So even though there's challenges here, there are other opportunities here. And I just think, especially like the mainstream media, they talk about the challenges, but they don't talk about like
how you can leverage
there's
it.
huge opportunities here on the other side as well for young people. Yeah, that didn't exist previously.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I think as well, there's a sense of some people just know the 9 to 5, or they feel like they haven't got the skills. When I entered into property development, I could say I didn't have the skills, but through networking, I've built a team. Obviously, we're working together, and have been for a while. And I don't think, if you've got a goal and if you've got the steps and the roadmap and the plan, I don't think it's impossible to get to where you want to be.
And also, no matter who you are, everyone's got their own skill set.
Yes.
Don't they? And that's
absolutely.
You've got a skill set. We've all got different skill sets.
Yeah.
And there is, you can help other people with your skill set. They can help you with their skill set. And it's just working with people well and acknowledging that, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Excellent. So we've touched on
one of the things I just pick up before we move on to the next question is you mentioned COVID changed things for everybody. I don't think it did, because the majority of the people who were in my life before COVID are still doing the same thing today that they were then. It's a small percentage of people who went, now I'm going to take the action. Now is the time, because I've been wanting to take the action and I haven't had the extra kick. And it gave those people the extra.
I think, I'm exactly what you're saying, is that I wanted to fast track my property life, my personal investments and business, stuff like that. And COVID was the thing that I could physically go, right, I've actually got the time and headspace to do it. Yeah. We're in lockdown. Yeah. I can't even travel to work and stuff like that. So I'm going to take it on. And
so it was almost a catalyst for you.
And it was also like, we're planning to have a family.
Yeah.
I did have my daughter in March 21, which is sort of like the back end of the pandemic, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Because that was coming in double whammy. I'm like, right, now I've got the time. Now's the time to do it. Yeah. And I'm going to really seriously move forward before we have kids and stuff like that.
Yeah. But my point is the same, which is if you are that entrepreneurial spirit, it gave you time to push.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
whereas if you didn't, you didn't.
Are doing the same thing they were doing before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. And that's they've gone back to work or they've got a job.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of merit in that.
There is. Absolutely.
The one thing I take away is always like, if you are that stressed out job person and then COVID hits and you didn't do anything, you've gone back to that stressed out, you may as well be a stressed out entrepreneur than a stressed out job person.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing that it taught me.
It's choosing your hard, isn't it?
Yeah. Which hard do you want? One that's going to create a legacy, or one that's just going to be creating somebody else's wealth? That's the thing. If, however, you've got a job and you love your job,
it works for you.
And you can switch off at night and your weekends are your own. Listen.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's two ways to live.
Yeah.
As long as you're choosing that life and that's what works for you, I think that's probably the point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right, so we touched on it a little bit then, but we don't want to know your strategies and what you're doing to achieve financial freedom. So obviously, it's small scale property development.
Yes.
What specifically does that mean, and how are you going about that to achieve?
So I don't want to touch too much on this because obviously we're doing it as a case study today.
We'll lead on
so
to
we'll lead on to it. Yeah. So the commercial conversion at the moment, my mindset is I want to build to sell. I don't want to hold.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that mindset is affected by the bad experience that I had. I think the next step forward from this development would be to learn how to hold, to actually make it profitable and for it to actually work so that it provides income. Because I know you can build pots of wealth, that's fine. But then once you've done that, then what's next? So there has to be some sort of passive income strategy there. So I am thinking about that. Somewhere in the mix as well, I am fascinated by the idea of owning a business, an existing business that's profitable. Now, again, I don't know what that looks like or how it's going to happen, but I do have, again, an education in mind that I want to do to learn the ropes to be able to then
a lot
go
of
down
retiring
that
business
track.
owners at the moment.
Yes, we've
from
got the
booming
boom
generation. Yeah,
there's a big boom going on, and I want to take advantage of that. So those are the goals
Interesting.
for trying to get to the ultimate.
So at the moment, the
freedom.
focus is small scale development.
Yes.
Develop to sell for profit, and then you're
Yes.
trying to work out, when I'm doing that, as I'm doing that, what's
Yes.
the next step to
Yes.
grow that money in
Yes.
a way or build
Because-
further?
So it's our biggest problem, isn't it? Like, because we keep saying, right, we're gonna do this to sell it, and then we buy it and we go, oh, I'd like to keep it though.
Yeah, but because
We've done that like 8 times now.
We're of the property mindset that, like, we see the benefit, the growth over
Yes.
time, don't we?
Yeah.
We see that double whammy of the cash flow and keeping
Yes.
it. So,
Yeah.
and then
your
it's hard to move away from that
It's
sometimes.
hard, yeah.
But you're experienced in that field as well, and you do understand how to manage it well and make sure it works.
Yeah.
For someone like me, so I started off with something and I tried to do something with it, but I didn't have the right people.
Yeah, of course.
That's-
Yeah.
That's
It's
the
more
difference.
just taking the learnings from that experience
Yes.
and going, I'm not going to do that sort of thing for
Yes.
these reasons. Now I'm educated, I've learned a lot more.
Yes,
I can do to keep, but I'm going to do this.
exactly.
Yeah. And I suppose in fairness, we did create a lettings and management business to look after the properties as
Yeah,
well.
because we
to
weren't
keep,
selling
so-
our properties. So we're not to generate profit. As we get going, no, I'll keep it. Yeah, so anyway, yeah.
Right.
Good fun.
Good stuff. So, all right. So we'll talk about a case study because,
Okay.
like, obviously, I've been working with you as a non-exec
Yes.
role with you as well, which has been great. And you came to me with this really great big property
Yeah.
in Morecambe.
Morecambe.
Yeah. So, do you want to tell us about that? Like, what the project is?
Okay.
How did you find the deal?
Okay.
And all those sort of things. What processes you've been through, etc.
Okay. So, property, they say you kiss a lot of frogs to find the deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Believe
Yeah.
you. Yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
Deals
So-
are made though, right?
Deals are made that way, though. Yeah. So it was first of all the project itself. So it's an old former antiques retail warehouse. It's out in Morecambe, not far from the prom, and it's an Art Deco building. And although I've never studied architecture formally, I absolutely love beautiful buildings and features and things like that. I've
So
always
for
been
the
attracted to
uninitiated
that.
who don't watch Bargain Hunts,
Yes.
what is Art Deco?
Oh, don't say that. So Art Deco is a period in history where buildings were created with certain features. That's about the extent of my knowledge. So if you know more than me, go for it.
No, it's fine.
Simple but effective features, aren't they?
Yes,
Is the way
simple
to
but
put it.
very effective
Yeah.
features. And there's been quite a few of these buildings in Morecambe that have been restored and redone up. I suppose the most famous one in Morecambe is the Midland Hotel. So hopefully people will know that one. And this is a similar style building to
So Morecambe, for those who don't know where Morecambe is.
So Morecambe is near Lancaster.
Yeah.
That's the reference. So the city is Lancaster. So
Yeah.
it's not far from there.
Which in itself is a historic city, right?
It is
It's
in itself.
very much a protected
Yes.
city.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
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 So why Morecambe?
Why Morecambe? So linking back to my driving instructing days, when I was a driving instructor, I used to teach people intensively to drive. So in a week or 2 weeks. And I spent a lot of time teaching people in that area. So I remember the days when I would have to drive through Lancaster city centre, through the one-way system with a lot of traffic, including a lot of port traffic because there is port at Heysham. So a lot of trucks, and it was really painful. And then I remember a few years back, I was driving along and on the M6 came up this sign, Morecambe and Heysham, and you could get off at this direct junction. and there was this absolutely beautiful bypass that had been built, and you no longer had to go through the city centre. So I've always known Morecambe for a number of years, and I don't know that there is a vibe about Morecambe when you go into Morecambe and you go down to the prom and things. It's a good feeling. It's a good location.
It's a lovely part of town.
It's lovely.
Nice,
It's gorgeous.
And there's some big redevelopment
Yes.
coming on board, isn't it? Things like that, in which you can talk about.
I mean, the first time you came to Morecambe and you had your little walkabout, what did you think?
Yeah, I'd never been there before,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
So I had watched the first season of The Bay. So
Yes,
that was my
so
knowledge.
that was there,
And
yes.
obviously I know of Tyson Fury and
Yes.
and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that was my knowledge of
Yeah.
Morecambe. So yeah, it was great. And it's just got a good vibe about it. It's a good
Yes.
spot. You know, like this property, it's like right on the promenade. You can see like the lifestyle of a lot of people that live out there, and the,
Yes.
and the you know, the dogs and the
Yeah.
walking lifestyle, and like being on the coast and everything like that.
Yeah.
Good place to eat and drink and all those sort of things
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, it's a really nice spot.
I was at an Eden Project consultation last year, and one of the questions that came up to the Eden Project team was, why Morecambe, just like you just asked? And they said, we came on within a winter's month, and they said we looked across and you could see the mountains and across towards the Lake District, and they were like, why not Morecambe? It was just absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, it is, and it's it's beautiful scenery, and
Yeah.
So
And,
obviously,
and it's still affordable, and it's still affordable
now.
In comparison to if you were trying to purchase property in the Lake District.
Yeah, of course.
Which the values are they're great, but it's difficult to
Very,
break
very
into
high.
that market.
So you mentioned the Eden Project.
Yes.
Be remiss not to mention it slightly. What is it? Where is it up to?
So the Eden Project at the moment, from what I understand, they are, like City Council says, that they're in their delivery stage. They've started hiring their key appointments. So last year they said at the bottom end of the year that they would hopefully break ground, but now they're saying it should be the end of this year. But it does seem to be going ahead. So it's big eco tourist attraction. Built in within that, they will have a venue for live events as well. They've already got the one in Cornwall. They're building this one in Morecambe, and they last year achieved the planning for one in Dundee. So as you can tell, I'm a bit of an avid fan, and I seem to follow what's going on with them. But yeah, and they tend to do them in regeneration areas where
It'll bring in a lot of
going on.
further investment across
Yes,
the whole town as well. And
Yes, yeah.
Lovely. Okay, carry on.
So how did you find the deal?
Actually, good old-fashioned portals. So went on Rightmove, and it was sat there, and it was again the early stages of my mentorship. So I saw the building. I then did a little bit of research. I found out it was in a conservation area, and then I sort of ran away from it because I'd barely done about 3 months of property education. I thought, this is too big building for me. I don't have experience. This is not good. Carried on in the journey. My son at the time was sitting his GCSEs. He finished, came on to summer holidays, and I said, I've not found anything. And I've set the goal, by the autumn, we must have a project. So he started looking. And he went, so you've got that on Rightmove. Why are you not going for it? And I was like, well, I was at the beginning of the journey, and so I didn't think it was a good idea. And he was like, well, what about now? And I was like, yeah, actually, you know what? Yeah, it makes sense. We can do this.
So what was the fear at the time, and what changed?
So the fear at the time was lack of experience, I guess. And what changed in between that was the fact that I'd got further education. I'd started networking, and
You're starting to build up some
and
contacts
build
as
up
well with
some
other
contacts
people.
as well. And the first thing that I did was, one of our mentors is a planning consultant. So I passed it over to him to sense check it. And I said, I'm interested in this deal. What do you think? And he went, yeah, but the values aren't there. But at that time, I was looking at developments that had already taken place. So these were in 2023 that I'd seen advertised. And I was like, in my mind, I'd already got the vision that this is a really beautiful big building. We want to make large, luxurious flats. We don't want to just go with the minimum national space standards. So I had a vision for it. And when I'd looked at the comparables at the time, it was, yeah, okay, this has the potential to work. In the meantime, I'd been networking. So I'd got introduced to my architect. So I passed it on to him. Obviously, we were talking, and I'd passed it on to yourself to sense check it. And it built from there.
So that's the power, isn't it? That is the power of, well, like, 'cause one of the things that I see all the time in terms of in the market is
there's two ways to treat property training, isn't there? One of them is to learn the technical stuff. And the other one is to get out and meet the people
Yes.
who are attached to that training, network and find the experts and the team that you need and to help you through your journey, because you can't just learn it.
No.
Otherwise, just go on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think the key thing is you learned that you had to build up your team. 'Cause
Yes.
To do these developments, you do need a
You
good team
need a
in
good
place.
team.
And you need to build that up. And then by
Absolutely.
doing that, you could obviously, you get a bit of confidence because
Yes.
you got other people, other eyes on it, reviewing
Yes.
it, giving different levels of feedback and talking it through.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned conservation, and that was too fearful for you at the start, and then you changed your mind. What was why?
The planning, because the planning consultant said, despite that, it could still fall under permitted development rights.
Yeah.
And that was the training.
Yep.
So I was always looking for a use class E, a retail building, offices, shops, some sort of building that fit the permitted development right.
Right. So the permits are just for people that are listening. They might not have listened to our commercial residential training. So
they should listen to that episode.
They should. It was very good.
So I'm just going to fire through this real quickly. So we're not going to ask too many questions. So you've used a permitted development right, which is with prior approval, right? So prior approval means the planning office still have to do their assessment to make sure that they meet certain criteria like highways, waste management, that kind of stuff. But they can't object, and the public can't object on anything that isn't part of that.
Correct.
And conservation is generally, unless it's listed with internal listings, conservation is about the general outlook of the area, which is the facade of the building. It's not the use class. So the permitted development that you're doing is the change of use, because change of use is a development under planning terms, in the same way that actually making changes would be a different type of development under planning terms. So you've used change of use,
so we've used
permitted development rights with prior approval.
Yes.
Okay, great. So that is class NA?
Class MA.
Lovely.
But also, because there are some facade alterations, aren't there? What did that mean in this project?
Yes. So in this project, in terms of the external facade changes, we have got some conditions with those attached, which we will have to submit. So, for example, the council wants to know what type of windows, doors, they're in line with the area.
Yeah, but I think what the point I was saying is there's actually two planning applications.
So you put a separate one in for the facade.
One for the facade,
And did you do that simultaneously, or did you do that back to back?
We did. We pretty much did it, ended up back to back. So the plan originally
2 weeks apart.
Yeah, originally the plan was we were going to put in the externals, wait for an approval, and then put that in.
Yeah.
But then in the reports that were submitted, we'd already put that we were planning to change this to 11 apartments. So the view was a couple of weeks later, let's just put this in with it. We're being upfront with what we're doing.
And also when it was looked into, like the evidence in the area with the council and their, I suppose, how they were looking at these sort of developments was quite favourable anyway.
Yes.
And to be honest, it was one of the smoothest planning applications I've almost ever seen for this scale of development, because Morecambe are obviously looking to get people regenerating these buildings, regenerating the area, and that was really good. So another reason why the area has been really good.
It's really interesting.
It's been open.
Because soon as you say conservation, it puts people off.
Yeah.
Especially at this level of building, because if you're not a big developer, right, I think it's an opportunity for people, and people shy away from it.
Yes.
But if you think about it, it's like if Warren Buffett, the greatest investor in the world that's ever lived, says, "Be greedy when others are fearful," right? Yeah. So people are afraid of listed buildings and conservation zones.
Yeah, it means there's an
Be greedy. Haley, who runs Hard Hats to Heels, she's greedy in conservation zones. Does really well out of it. Yeah. So
it's a really good point.
Yeah.
And we're starting to be greedy in Article 4 zones because people are running away from them as well for HMOs for the same sort of reason.
But actually, you see that there's an opportunity.
Absolutely. You need to look at the opportunities all the time, and that's what you've done there.
Absolutely.
Stop the podcast now. This episode is sponsored by Property Filter. Property Filter is the #1 property tool for today's property professional. It brings in all the data points and sources from all the property portals and auction sites into one convenient place. Then you have the option to overlay all the clever strategies found in the Property Filter blueprint to find motivated sellers faster. Now, we use it on a daily basis. It saves us over 80% of our time when looking for properties. And if that sounds like something that you want in your lives, please go to register.property-filter.co.uk/PPB, which is the discount code for this podcast. You will get 2 weeks free and a discount on your first month. That's it from me. Back to the podcast.
So you've secured the deal. Just explain your mechanism. So like, because obviously there's been some planning approvals.
Yes.
Just a general outline of the process there.
Just timeline.
Yeah, general
timeline. So timeline on this. So at the moment we're looking at seeing, can we get to site by next year, beginning of next year? We're hoping it will be a 9-month, 10-month build. And while it's being built, we'll be looking to see if we can sell off plan.
So you've got planning now.
So we've got the planning in place.
Have you bought the property yet?
We are on an option agreement.
Okay, right. So there's no rush.
That's
good. That's
the option,
clever.
I think, runs to the end of the year or something like that. So
end of the year.
Detailed designs are happening now, building up to the tender process and everything like that.
Yeah.
So
again, for the uninitiated, sorry to do this. So you've done a purchase option.
Yes.
With a lease fee.
Yes.
So you're going to pay something towards the cost per calendar month.
So what we did, we didn't do it as that. We actually paid them a deposit.
Yeah.
Very low level deposit.
It's a base option agreement.
So it's just purchase.
No lease.
Yeah, there's no lease.
Wow, that's really
lease.
clever. That's really good.
Obviously, yeah.
That was thanks to my business partner.
Yeah. So an option agreement is basically it's a legal agreement where you agree with the seller a price to purchase the property within the time frame within the option agreement, and then they can't go and sell that to somebody else.
Yes.
But it is the right to buy, not the obligation to buy.
Correct.
So it's different to people sometimes say, well, if we exchange contracts, and then we delay the completion until like I have planning.
Yes.
So the difference there being if you've exchanged contracts and then you get planning, let's say you put in for 11 flats in the exchange agreement and you get 11 flats, you then have to complete within the time frame on the completion agreement.
Yes.
Whereas an option agreement, you still don't have to complete if the market changes dramatically or the Eden project gets cancelled or any of those things. You don't have to complete. So it's a much less risky contract in general for people to use. And it's very powerful. The option agreement is very powerful. It's harder to negotiate though. So really well done. It's very hard to negotiate.
It's a great deal. It was really well done. Right. So should we move on just to give some outline of the numbers? So like what the purchase price, let's say purchase price, general development costs and fees, and then what the end predicted GDV is.
Okay, so purchase price at the moment stands at 540,000. Development costs generally at this stage, we're talking about 1.7 million, and the end GDV we're looking to take 3.5 million. So we're uplifting it. Immensely.
So at the moment, you're working through a process to get the bridging development finance in place with lenders, obviously, and then you're looking for other people to get involved in the project as well, aren't you? Which it's obviously got planning approval, it's got the option agreement, so a lot of those
we're de-risking the project as much as we can.
Aren't they? And now. And it's got a really good professional who does it, the architects and the engineers and everything like that, and interior designer. Going through and detailing the design. So it's going to be really looking forward to it.
Oh, Louise. Yeah, there you go. Saw a post about it.
Right,
I'm the only one not on this project. What's going on? Anyway,
so we find a way.
Find a way in. I'll sell it for you.
Excellent. No, it's really good. So. Right, so moving forward, I suppose if anyone else wants to learn more about the project, they can get in touch with you. So they can
get in touch with myself. We are actually going to be arranging a discovery day. And
Great idea.
The first one.
Yeah, it's a very good idea.
It's the first one for us. We've got a provisional date, 7th of July.
7th of July, right.
7th of July. So it'll be myself and my business partner. And the plan is that we'll have the link on Eventbrite. We'll get a venue, and we will take people to the site. Now, there's not access inside the site, but we'll take you to the property. Talk about building, some of the things we've done. Buy you a bag of chips or something. Walk along the prom, maybe buy you an ice cream while you're there if the sun's out.
Show how to defend yourself against secrets.
And then we'll do a presentation and lunch and
what are you trying to get out of that? Are you looking to what are you wanting from this? Are you trying to get like people to invest in your project? Is that it? Right. Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
So the idea behind this is what we want to offer is you can educate with us.
Okay.
It gives you the opportunity to learn. So you're learning from the inside track of us as first time developers.
Right. Yeah.
And how we've done it.
Yeah, nice.
And how we secured the deal, how we've got the team, the networking, the branding.
Yeah.
And then also
there's a lot of value in that, isn't there? Because it's not only
huge amount.
It's not only cost, it's time, it's
Yes.
effort, it's energy, it's
Yes.
experience, it's network.
Yes.
And then it's the physical purchase of a training program.
Yes.
So much value you can get from these types of things.
The amount you've put into it is something that you can then
absolutely
provide to someone else.
Yeah. And in return for that, again, wanting people to invest with us, follow us on the journey, come on the journey with us, because it's an exciting journey.
It is an exciting project.
It's an exciting project.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, when you talk to them and they say, oh, what do you do? So we tell them and they're like, so what else have you done? And I say, this is the first one. And they're like, wow, really? This is your first project? Quite big. It's big, isn't it? And it's like, yeah, but there was a plan behind it.
Yeah.
There's a team behind it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is a really good
and leveraging that as experience is part of what you can teach people, right?
Yes.
Because, you know, you've got Tim as a non-executive, as an example, with 20 years experience that we've now decided, well, it's not 18 anymore. Telling people it's 18 years.
It's not based on today.
You're telling people it was 18 years experience for 2 years. Like, it's probably 20 now, right?
I need to update my LinkedIn profiles behind by 2 years. Yeah.
But once you sit down and you think, oh, it's a big development, it's like, and the lender says, you look at the team's experience and you go, here you go, as my CV.
Yeah.
It's a big tick in the box, right? It's a massive tick in the box.
I also think there are big challenges associated with that to learn as well, because we touched on it a bit when Richie Clapson came in. But when you're building a team for a development, there's a fine line between undercooking it, being too small and being too risky.
Yes.
And being too large that it just doesn't stack up. So you need the right team. It's the right team at the right price, and all these sort of things you've got to balance, because ultimately you need to make a profit.
That's the end goal.
You can get, again, with the contractors, that's going to be a real balancing act, because we can get someone on board that's quite a big contractor, because it is a decent sized job, but you know, they might be too expensive.
True.
And you don't want to get anyone too small.
No.
It's very, very risky, and they won't be able to deliver. So there are still some big challenges into it. But
if only they had a development manager that can help them with that. Hey.
Are we touting for?
It's really good to have a non-executive advisor.
Where the non-exec comes in.
They can talk about these sort of things, because like it's and I don't know how much is taught in that program, but like this is one of the questions.
This is one of the key things that are taught. Get yourself a non-exec advisor. You need somebody on who's in there doing
other non-exec advisors are available.
Cool. So that great project. Get in touch with Aaisha. But moving on to our final few questions then.
Okay.
We, in this podcast, we talk about day-to-day of people's lives and routines and things like that. So we just want to know, like, what is a typical day for you at the moment, and the life of a small-scale property developer?
In the life of a small-scale property developer, it's surprisingly not that exciting. I think more than anything else, because I am completely just focused on the one project, because it's a big project. I'm not pursuing other strategies, but at the same time, I'm moving forwards in education, learning things about, we're at the stage in the project that it's now about getting yourself out there again, just like you did like I did in the beginning with branding. Now I've got a project. So now I need to be out there. So I'm out there networking a lot more again. Social media, liaising with the team, various calls,
design meetings and things
I've got a business partner, so we do have quite a lot of calls. He's learning just like I am, so we're always bouncing things off each other and trying to figure out what's the best way.
About it earlier sometimes that's the benefit of having a joint venture partner, is you can really work together and bounce ideas off each other. And stuff like
so, am I allowed to set a small challenge here or not? Am I allowed to do that?
That depends on the challenge.
You can do it. You can go off script as much as you want. Apparently, I think
there's something that you said there, which I think is probably to your detriment, which is I haven't been looking at my next project.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I would challenge you to go and do that.
Yeah.
Because if you followed the same blueprint, right, the same blueprint that you're doing now, if you just went and knocked on all those beautiful properties in and around the front that could do the same thing, and said, oh, by the way, this is me, and I'm doing this project on this area. Are you open to, you know, selling your property or any of that kind of thing? Or you looked for property that was already for sale. If you said, this is how I've done it, and you did an option agreement, you had to apply for planning, by the time you've got to where you are now on your next project,
It's a really good point, because if you think about the time frame in this current project to get to the point that you've got planning and, we're going through the detailed design and purchase.
Find it.
You need to sort of
Option agreement.
Next one.
Planning.
Yeah.
Now would be a really good time.
You've actually taken the question that I put to you.
All right. Okay.
You've jumped ahead of schedule.
Okay. I'll repeat myself. I'll repeat
all good. We'll move forward to that. He's jumping in as usual.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right in that respect. So when I say I'm not looking, the way I hunted, if you will, for this project, it was intense.
Yeah.
I'm not hunting in that way. And you're absolutely right. I should be. I do look.
Yeah, but here's the difference, though, isn't it? It's a difference.
Yes.
Because you were hunting across a spectrum of different ideas.
Yes.
Now you've got one idea.
Yes, exactly. We've got, like you said, we've got the blueprint
Really focused
of what works. Yeah.
And do it better.
And do better. And maybe have you on board.
Negotiate harder. Yeah. Need to do negotiations. There you go. That's where I'm at value. Yeah.
Oh, we can work in stages. Like NBA stage 1 is finished.
Yeah, you don't want me managing your project to get too frustrated.
Stage 3, Phil. Yeah, cool. We always want to talk about successes and failures, because obviously, especially in the life of a property developer, there's things that go well. There's lots of challenges, failures, things like that. So we'll start with what are you most proud of your journey, or one of the biggest successes? And then follow from that, what's been one of your biggest sort of challenges or failures you've had?
So on the journey, the big success was getting a project going, because I've come across a lot of people who've said, we can't get the numbers to work. Things don't work. I'm never going to find a deal. It's not going to happen. When I invested in this, as I've said before.
And that's people who are in your circle.
Yes, people who are
also trying to do what you're doing.
We're all trying to do what we're doing.
Okay.
And when I went in, it's not easy. It is not easy. And you're talking about trying to change your life for the better.
In one deal.
And one deal. And if everybody could do it, hey, it'd be so easy, but it's not. And I've always had the mindset, I'm going to find it. I'm going to get that deal. I don't believe there's not a deal. There's got to be a deal.
And you said it before, you make deals.
You make it happen.
Deals. You make it happen.
You make it happen. Yeah, absolutely. Deals are made. They're not bought.
Obviously, you saw the deal and you made the deal.
Yes.
In this circumstance. So.
The failure, the deal actually fell out of bed. So
I remember you mentioned this.
We did the feasibility. I had the professionals. Everybody was on board. We were with solicitors and legals, and then the vendor pulled out. And we were nearly there on exchange. And it was the biggest blow, because again, like you've just said, you should be looking for your next one. I'd put all my eggs into the one basket.
It's hard on your first one. But you've got to learn from that, right?
And there was a decent amount of work and expenditure that went to that
feasibility
point.
Yes.
Yeah, and the planning works to get to that. It was literally ready to exchange and for planning.
And they walked.
And the thing is, because obviously we talked about the option agreement before, but strategy 1 was an early exchange with delayed completion.
Yeah.
I think one of the learnings was, we won't name names, but I think there was a bit of a challenge with the solicitor at the time that wasn't really doing anything.
Yours or theirs?
No, ours.
Yours.
Mine. So I'd met my solicitor before I'd met him.
Right.
And then we changed the solicitor we used.
Yes.
Yeah, that almost got it.
Got it over the line.
No, we won't refer him because he's far too busy.
No, we're not mentioning names, that's for sure. We don't want him any busy that he is. No,
so
and he almost salvaged it really quickly. I did
very quickly.
But the vendors got a bit. They are challenging, aren't they? To put it frankly, but they got a bit fed up because the timing and stuff, and we always talk about the time kills deals, isn't it? Unfortunately.
Especially in conveyancing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you need to manage that expectation that even the option agreement or the exchange is going to take 6-8 weeks.
Yes.
And then the key thing there is obviously it fell through without putting word in mouth, but it was like, no, don't give up. There's a certain amount of value in everything that's being done today. Can it be salvaged? Just find someone else that can secure the deal with them, and we'll go a different strategy.
Yeah. So that was the biggest failure. And for 2 months I was licking my wounds. I'd even had a call with Richie.
Time's your friend, right?
Time's your friend. My business partner was on the same course as me. We started off as accountability partners. So we were just talking to each other. He talked about a deal that fell out of bed for him. And then, I just said to him, this is available. Nobody knows. It's back on the market. Do you want to have a go? And he went, okay, I'll give it a go. And he secured it. And he secured it at a lesser price than what I did. He secured it on a far better contract than I did.
But also the strategy worked, did it? Because
it worked.
Because the EDC option or the exchange delay completion option was different. The vendor obviously had a different angle and a different person.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you got it cheaper and on a better contract.
And on a better contract.
And because time's your friend. Yeah. They will have been regretting that, right?
Yeah.
Because 2 months later, very little interest, very few viewings.
Well, no, I don't think they were. I think when he came along, because they put it on the market, and it was quite quickly after they put it on the market that he came on the scene. But I think they were probably just thinking, yes, but before I'd come on the scene, it would have been up for a year.
But it's a bit like, so how we target our deals, right? So how we target our deals is if it comes back on the market, we go quickly at it then. Yeah. Because they've already got the mindset of this is now sold.
Yes.
And then for whatever reason they pull out and whatever learnings you get from that, but the deal's back on the market.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not your business partner and he's got it a little bit cheaper and on a better contract.
Yes, absolutely.
That's exactly how we do our deals, right? Yeah. So it's a good timing.
And it moved, you guys moved quite quick at that point as well, didn't you? To secure it. So
I mean, don't get me wrong, he deals with the vendor and that's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
I don't get to deal with that side of things.
Well, the option's agreed now. You just didn't know you could
once
there's
the option
nothing
was
to be
agreed.
done.
Yeah.
So the other thing we like to talk about is, we're big on education, learnings and things like that. And sometimes there's a really key bit of advice you may have received from someone or something. What's the best bit of advice you've ever had in this journey?
Can I say two?
Of course
very
you can.
quickly.
It's a bit greedy, but go ahead.
When you're in the hot seat,
one is personal, one is personal, one is professional. So the personal one is, my parents always taught me that whenever you go to do something, finish the job. Do not give up, do not quit. No matter how hard you think it's getting. Because the harder it gets, the closer you're getting to what you want.
Yeah.
So
this project's a prime example of that.
And this is a prime example of that. The professional one, it was advice given to my son within the mentorship. And he was always told, don't let anybody kill your dream. And this project is my dream. And despite all the hurdles and all the difficulties, I'm not letting anybody kill the dream.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, very good.
Good bit of advice.
Lovely. It's so cool. I think I'd like 11 flats in Morecambe, I'll be honest with you. I think I'd like that.
And the market soon.
Yeah. There we go. I'm not buying them when they're done.
No. Yeah. Not unless we change our mind and go.
I'm not sure I'll be able to sell them, I'll be honest. Not sure I'll be able to sell them, especially with the Eden projects on the horizon.
Yeah.
I'll be like, you can rent them out of C3 today.
You want to keep them?
That's C1. That's C1's knocking on the door with the Eden project. Serviced accommodation all day.
Yeah. So it's a bit of a hot spot.
It will be.
Yeah, it's always a fallback.
It's already a hotspot. It's
it already is, yeah.
And then we ask you to bring a question for us. So have you prepared something?
So I did. So for Phil, going back to you telling me what I should be doing in terms of giving me that advice. That's all right. Giving me that golden
challenge, not telling you what to do.
Yeah, a challenge. For me, as a first-time developer, as you know, I've just been concentrating on this project. It is there in my mind that when I set out on this journey, I didn't want to be a one-trick pony, do one building and then that's it. What's your advice to me, apart from what you've said earlier? So, can you add anything else to that?
Yeah, so the thing I would advise to any entrepreneur is the thing that we wrote down in our first year of business, which is systemize and oversubscribe, right? That was our year one mantra. This is what we're going to achieve this year. We're going to systemize our business and we're going to oversubscribe it. Systemize being anything that we do, we document. And then the other thing is
automate.
Yeah. And the second bit is oversubscribe. Sales solves everything. And you as an entrepreneur are a salesperson, right? When you're a solopreneur, you are everything. Yes. But sales solves everything, right? So in my opinion, and it's obviously 20 years of sales is the first skill that you need to be good at. Yes. And it's the only skill that you really need to be good at because you can pretty much hire other skills in. But entrepreneurs sometimes get too tied up in the operational side of things. So where you are right now, like I said, you are right in that it's about focus, and you've got this deal, right? You've got this deal over the line. So great, you've secured it. But in your what does a developer need? Projects.
Yes.
Right. So you're going to have this day. On the 7th of July, I think the date was. And you're going to invite these people, and they're going to come see this wonderful project. And some of them might go, "Oh, I might look to help you with this project." Some of them might go, "Oh, would you ever consider a joint venture?" or would you ever consider helping me to do something? And if you could have ready and waiting projects,
yes,
you could say, well, actually, yeah, because this is project 1, my project 2 and 3 are also already in the sales process.
Yes.
You know, and that's the thing. It's about being prepared for what happens next. And in sales, it's like the next thing will only happen if you've done that part.
Yes.
So always having that pipeline, never always thinking about where that next deal would come from, is a good idea. Don't get me wrong. If you're doing like a 70-20-10 rule, if you're 70% focused on your project 1, which is the right thing to do, 20% should be focused on potentially the next one. So that's like a day a week, maximum that you're looking at trying to do.
Yeah, you can be strategic about your time allocation for, like you said, the current one and the future pipeline. And all those other things that go with it, networking and
especially if you want to be investable.
Yes.
Because if you want to be investable, then people aren't going to want to know what happens today. They're going to happen to know today and the next day and the next day.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, 100%.
And for you, so yours was a bit more abstract and a bit more of a deeper one. So your question was, do you think that we meet people by luck or coincidence? Do they come into your path by luck or coincidence?
So we meet people because of the action that we've taken. That's just generally my perspective. So if you decided to go to a networking event and you met someone, it's because you decided to go to that networking event. What you could say is like you could have like, say, lucky occurrences in that situation because you don't know who's going to be there.
No.
And that person that you've met, is perfect for you and you can help them, they can help you. So it's sort of like a lucky occurrence, but it's happened because of what you've done.
Because of what you've set out to achieve.
And literally everything you achieve is because of the action that you've done. And what you've decided to do and then implemented, and then the bonus to that is like the thing that surrounds us. So me and Phil, we met in PIN, we met in Mastermind, we both chose to do that. So we met each other. So maybe it's lucky because we're both we're both relatively local, Manchester based. Maybe that's the lucky element of it, and we got along, we had different skill sets, whatever. But if none of us took the action to do that, we wouldn't have met, we wouldn't be here now, and all those sort of things. So
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's about taking the bull, like you're taking your life by the horns. You are the bull that you're taking by the horns, right? And
Absolutely.
you have to change things for yourself.
Yes.
Nobody's going to do this for you.
You've got to take action.
You're on your own.
Yeah.
You came into the world alone. You'll leave the same way. Everything in between is down to you. Nobody's here to save you. Nobody owes you anything.
People always say, the more action I take, the luckier I get, which makes sense because it's like you've decided to do that. You put yourself in that circumstance, and then you say, "Oh, that's happened because of it," which is lucky.
Yeah,
I would say that there's nobody in your current project that's lucky. I think everybody in your project is deliberate because you've gone to networking events.
Yes.
And you've recognized the experts. You've then taken on training. You've recognized the people you need through that training mechanism.
Yes.
And then during that network, you found people who match those job roles.
Yes.
And then you've just got on with those people. So then you've invited them to join your project. I don't think any of that's luck.
No.
I think it's by design. I think if you hadn't,
I think from the outside,
you would have met them eventually.
I think a lot of people, when they look at this from the outside, and this is for putting the question there and also dispelling the myth, if you will, people go, "Oh, you're really lucky you got a deal." But like you said, there wasn't luck in it. It was sheer persistence, resilience, hard work.
And like you said, you had a lot that you looked at before you got to that.
And before we achieved the blueprint for what we wanted.
And you lost the deal. And then you found a way to still make the deal happen.
I mean, I can even remember a few that you brought to me that I looked at and I went, no, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
And that's where people stop.
Yes.
Because there's two things. There's a reason that happens. Number one, they don't want to offer the right level because they feel it's insulting to the seller.
Yes.
Okay, but let's not forget, time's your best friend. So if you make an offer and it doesn't sell for 12 months, go back and say, I'm still willing to pay you this money. Because every month they're paying out their business rates, they're paying their gas and electric bills, they're paying all these things. It was vacant.
Business rates, did you say?
Yeah. So, and then that's the second thing is that because of the rejection, people aren't used to it.
Absolutely.
And reject you. But if you can get your head around, you want to get a no on every offer you make. And at that point, you've triggered your sales pipeline. And if you get a yes, you've offered too much. So get used to rejection real fast. That's the other part of it, isn't it?
Unless you secure a really good deal quickly with the process. I've thought about this. You say this a few times. I'm like, we've got some really good deals. I said yes straight away, but we've
offered too much then.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, because my business partner had that view with this. He was like, he did want to go in a lot lower.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, it's out on the market again. It works. Just secure it. Try and get a lower offer, but don't go so low that somebody else snaps it.
Yeah,
because of the work that we've done.
That is smart, because in that circumstance, when you're talking about an NGDV of 3.5 million,
yes,
development cost of 1.7, whether you're saving 10 grand here or there on the purchase price, it's not.
I'm not talking about going so low that it's ridiculous.
No.
I'm talking about offering the right level that matches the project, and not overspending.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like overspending on purchase is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah. All right, I hope that answers it. Is that
brilliant? Thank you.
So that was good. So
that's good.
This brings us to a close. So
thank you very much
for coming along, and big credit to you on what you've done the last couple of years in getting educated in property development, getting stuck into it, finding a cracking deal, and
brilliant. Thank you for having me.
Good luck with the flats. Yeah,
good luck with the project. Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you very much. Until the next one.
And before we leave today, if you would like, subscribe and follow on whatever platform you're watching this on, we would much appreciate it. It helps us build our subscriber base, and it helps us continue with the podcasts.
Thank you very much.
Take care. See you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Thank you once again for joining us on the Financial Freedom Podcast, sponsored by us at Property Portfolio Building. If you want to get in touch with us about today's podcast or any of the learning topics that we've gone through today, you can email us at podcast@invest-prop.co.uk or get in touch with us with whichever your social media platform of choice is. If you think you would add value to us as a guest on this podcast, you can please get in touch and let us know what you would be able to talk to us about. Other than that, we wish you well on your financial freedom journeys. And once again, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.